Hi, I'm sorry we couldn't be together the first day. I know it got a little difficult to know whether you're in class depending on your name, but the beginning of the alphabet from A to M is usually going to be in class on Wednesday, and N through Z, the end of the alphabet, will be in class on Monday. That's to ensure that we have few enough students so we have enough space per student in the class. As per the guidelines, it's not my choice, it's a hybrid, so I have to do it that way. So if you're not physically in class, it's a good idea to be listening around the same time. If not, I'll just try to record it and put it online later. I did get a microphone, so I'll be able to record and put it up online. Just want to stay in contact with me and let me know what you need. Keep up with your homework in Google Classroom. So if you weren't there today, make sure you're in Google Classroom. Two, once you're in Google Classroom, you'll see that there are assignments there. Let's go over that. So in Google Classroom, you go in here and you see, okay, you'll see the assignments. You have 1.1 homework. You click in there and you'll see what the assignment is. Go in instructions, and there's the homework right there. It's also on Blackboard. I'll show you where it is. So that's the section. This is the fourth edition. You want to get the fourth edition. You want the paperback version. You want to get it online. You don't want to get in the bookstore because they're going to make you buy the fifth one. You don't want the fifth edition with the fourth edition. You can get it online for very inexpensively. So that's what I would do. And in Blackboard, just so you know, under your class, under Unit 1, I have PowerPoints for each lesson, and I have the homework assignments listed here as well. So if you could click on PowerPoints, you'll see I have all the PowerPoints that are there, and so forth and so on. Okay, if I get that back. Okay, so you have homeworks, you have PowerPoints, and everything else you need. All right. So Google Classroom. So yeah, so Google Classroom. You'll also have the syllabus. So the syllabus is here. Oh, these are the links for the WebExes right here. So click there. If WebEx works, great, I'll do it. If it doesn't, then I might try Zoom. But the syllabus is down here, and that pretty much explains that your course is usually graded as about 750 points, 10%, 75 of which comes down to like classwork and participation. You have that's the way to round students up at the end of the quarter if they're at the semester if they're doing well. But tests are going to be at least 4, if not 5 of them. There'll be 100 points each. There's the approximate schedule right here. Chapters and the approximate times when they're going to be. So that's a key area of the syllabus right there. So you get the 4th edition right away and start cracking. So the PowerPoints will help you. We're going to use a graphing tool called Desmos. That's going to be your best friend. So read over the syllabus and let me know if there's any questions on there. So the homeworks I will put in Google Classroom. You use the textbook to look at the problems, and then you upload them to Google Classroom, okay, as a PDF. Please do us a PDF and don't send separate images. That gets very time consuming to read. All right, so please submit those. When you go to Google Classroom, you'll be able to see that, where to submit it. All right, so there you go. Now I did that. Okay, so let's go do some math here. So what did we do? We were looking at the PowerPoints. These PowerPoints you could see they're in Blackboard for you. We went through these. We did some vocabulary today. Oh, Google Classroom. Make sure if you don't have the code already, I think I emailed it to everybody. But in case you don't have the code, it's right there. There's the Google Classroom code. If you already got a link from me and you clicked it, then you're already in. For those people who are registered already, you should already have that. If you do not get that, then here it is. But I already copied this link and sent it to you, so you should already have access to it. But very important to get in right there right away, because it's where a lot of information is going to be placed. And there you go. So back to the PowerPoint. So table of graph. Here we go. We're still seeing this okay? Yep. Okay, so in case you missed that, the Google Classroom code is right there. Go to classroom.google.com, type that in there, and you'll have what you need. Now, going to PowerPoint. These are in Nope. These are in Blackboard. You have access to them. So we went over what functions are. Functions can be represented as a table, a chart, a graph, or equation. It expresses how two items are related to each other, two elements are related to each other, and they solve real-life problems. You'll see from our examples, we do a lot of science and labor and employment, that kind of thing. Okay? So a function. So a function has an input and an output. It's kind of an input tool and an output tool. So if you put something in, you get something out. The input is called domain values. The output values are called range values. And the function is what changes the input to make the output. Okay, so domain is all the inputs and ranges are all the outputs. Okay, and they could be a table, chart, graph, formula, lots of different situations. So here's an example of real life here. I have the graphing tool open because we use it a lot. So this is desmos.com. You definitely want to bookmark this. It's free. It's awesome. We use it a lot, and I'm going to go over some details on how to use it today. So we'll talk about that as we get used to it. All right, so you could have multiple graphs in here, and they could be color, and you could save them, and you can make an image, and you could save them for many years and keep them. You're definitely going to want this because you're going to print it out. You could print it out, use it for your homework, scan it up to your PDF, or use it for your assessments. You're definitely going to want to use it. So y equals 9/5 x plus 32. All right, so there's that one right there. So most of the industrialized world uses Celsius, so it's a good idea to know this in real life. So if you had a child that you were in Canada, let's just say, and you wanted to know whether the child had a fever at 37 degrees Celsius, you have to figure that out. So that relationship right here, F equals 9/5 plus 32, you evaluate it, you put in 37 for our C, and you evaluate that, and you find out that the temperature comes out to 98.6 exactly. So this child is fine, no problem. So functions could also be represented in a graph or a table. So these values are here on the coordinate plane, and we're trying to find out if they are related or not. Okay, that's a visual representation. Know that domains are always read from left to right, lowest to highest, and ranges are always from lowest to highest, bottom to the top. All right, so if we were given these coordinates right here, and I was asked to find the domain, all you need to do, how do you find the domain? So I told you domains are x values, input values. All you have to do is take all the x values and line them up in order, -5, -3, -1. Okay, in the range, that'd be all the y values, -7, -2, 6, and that's why they're listed right here. Okay? So just so you know that's how it's the function's listed in coordinate form. So if you ask domain and range, x's are the domains, range are the y values. Sometimes you're given a graph where you have to find the domain and the range. Well, the domain is going to be from left to right. Okay, so you start out, how far left do you go? -3. How far to the right do you go? 3. So -3 to 3. That's our domain. That's our domain constraint. Or our, how should I put that? That's the domain. The values of the domain from -3 to 3. Notice the hard bracket. That means it includes -3 and it includes +3. The range goes from -27, -20 something. You can't tell what it is, but you make your best guess. And then up to up here, like almost 40, 39. So right there, that's how you read domain. So domain's left to right, horizontal. Range is vertical from bottom to the top there. What are you looking for here? Find the domain. Okay, so the domain of this graph. Well, the domain of this graph, you go from left to right. This arrow continues forever. So it's -infinity to 4. Or x is less than or equal to 4. It does equal 4 here. So anything less than 4, and this is how you write it, interval notation. Here, the range, you start from the bottom, and now we're here, just kidding. Little somebody famous said that once. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to 0. So you start at 0 and you go up. So it goes from y is greater than or equal to 0 or 0, comma, infinity, hard bracket, meaning including 0. Okay, horizontal, domain, vertical, range. All right. So here's a problem here talking about computers, and we want to know, does the year affect, does the number of computers sold affected by what year it is? Well, yeah, as computers become more and more popular, they might sell more of them. So if you look at this chart right here, we're trying to see if sales is a function of years. In other words, does the year affect the sales? Well, as we look here, these are in probably millions or something. We look up here, you can see, well, as the years go on, more and more sales are happening. So therefore, the year is impacting the sales. So the sales are a function of the years. In other words, so the years are independent and the sales are dependent because the sales depend on the year. Hence, if we know what the year is, we know it's more likely to be higher in sales if the year is later. So that's what it means to be a function. Does one variable affect another? Now here, does one affect another? Now, when I put these both into the graph, so you can have these graphs in here and not use them. So I put these in here, and this one in here, and I close that one. We could do that. Can I do that? Boop. There we can. I love that. All right. So this first one here, you probably learned the vertical line test. You see how the green one works. If I make this mark down here, it only hits once, but this red one right here, if I hit this button right here, x equals 6, you see that that vertical line is going through there. So the red one is not a function, okay, and the green one is a function. You also know, because you have the square here, that's going to be a problem. You don't have the y by itself, so that's another reason you know. And also the vertical line test, for every x value, you have to have exactly one y value, not 2. So that's why the red one's a problem. Hence the vertical line test. Green one, no problem. Okay, so it's really good to have Desmos here. Desmos is your friend. You'll see that. All right, moving on. We did the vertical line test. We covered that already, so that's why that's a function, and that one's not a function. We did that. We did on Desmos. Okay, so function notation. So basically, the -2 and the 4 are input values. That's the number that you put into the function. And the -2, the number you get out, is the y value of the range function. So here's a function right here. Okay, put that function in there, and we say, what's f of 2? So we put in f of -2. So these are input values or domain values. Well, if we do that, we'll see that. I'll take the 6 away. Yeah, we get that. We click there, and we have 4, 81, and then we're looking at -2, and that's right there. Okay, we're looking for, there we go. So we don't need that button right there. Okay. So -2 is the input value. The output value is 45. When my domain value is 4, I get 81. That means if I put that into this equation, if I evaluate there, these are the output values that we get. So they match here. Okay, so that's again how you use Desmos. By the way, while I have your attention on here, this wrench is a really important tool, because if you had this at a different, say you had 0 to, you didn't pay attention to this, you look at the graph and say, oh no, it's not right. I can't see anything. It's so zoomed out. Okay. The beautiful thing about this graph is that you can customize it to the exact window in color, so you can see everything you need to see. So let's say -5 to, I don't know, 5. Okay. So you can see that graph nicely zoomed in there. Boom, boom. If the 2 points of interest that you need, so you can zoom this graph, and you can also do it vertically as well. So the wrenches are really important. The house gets you back, and the wrench is really important because it takes you back to where you need to be. All right, we did that one. Well, it's weird. So, and this is a graph about elderly men in the workforce in millions. So you kind of look at the graph and you kind of determine that wherever you are, you can make a decision about wherever input value is the year and your output value is the number of millions of And you can see that the number of elderly men has started to decline in work